Hello, my fellow Coldplayers. In this video, I'm going to be ranking each song off the new album, Music of the Spheres. Now, keep in mind that these are just my personal opinions, and they probably will change the more I listen to the album, but more importantly, they're probably going to differ from yours. So if you have any opinions on this album, on each song, feel free to leave a comment below. And of course, if you haven't done so yet or are new to the channel, I would encourage you to please subscribe. I have been going over Coldplay things for quite a while now, and it will continue to do so for long into the future. So that'd be greatly appreciated, and it will help me out a ton. So thank you in advance for subscribing. Alright, so just to dive into things, here is the tier list that I have. Of course, you can see it is numbered or lettered S to D, S being the highest, D being the lowest. You know, just thinking about it, I don't know that I would put any of these songs in the D range, but I guess we'll see as time goes on. You're going to be experiencing my real-time reaction to each song because I have not done this yet. But the other thing I wanted to note before getting started is that instead of having like the names, I have each planet associated with each song. So if you don't know all the lore about that, I guess you'll learn as we go on. So starting off with the first one, we have Music of the Spheres, the title track of this album. Now, this is kind of just an intro track. It's not like a full-length song or anything like that. It intros with these really crazy, kind of like background noises, this chaos, and evolves into this open chord. It even says Music of the Spheres in this robotic voice. Now, for this one, since it's kind of just not really a full chorus, verse, all that stuff, I'm actually gonna put this one in the C range. I know that sounds like bad, but to start things off, but trust me, there are a lot of songs on this album that I absolutely love, but starting off, since it's just an intro track, I'm just gonna give it a C, because there's not much to it. And there's also not much to talk about. So moving on to the next one, we have our first single that we ever heard from this album before we even knew what this album was called, anything like that, Higher Power. Now with this song, I remember, I don't know, just there was so much emotion with it just going into it. You know, they announced that they were going to release it, and we all were just so excited that the new era of Coldplay was coming. And so with this song, I just have lots of memories with it. Just that feeling of watching that premiere for the first time and hearing this song was just so exciting. Now, the thing that I always remember about this is the fact that going into it, you know, you hear the title like Higher Power, and you think, okay, this has to do something with some deity or some godly figure or something, but it actually deals with the higher power within ourselves. So I always just love this song. Now, as far as where I rank this, I'd say this one's tough. I know we're just getting started, but this one's already tough. I think I'm gonna give this a B. And the reason, because I don't think the song, I think it does stand out. I think it's a great song, but I don't think it goes above and beyond. I do love this track, and I love listening to it. It gives me a great feeling and just the memories of hearing that. But I don't think it's like one of Coldplay's best work. So for that reason, I'm gonna give this a B. So moving on to our next track, we have Humankind. Now, when I listened to the album for the first time, I guess I didn't really think about this song too much. You know, we had heard clips of it before. We kind of didn't really know what to expect from this song, and I absolutely loved this song. I thought it really reminded me of the Viva La Vida era, and that nostalgia kind of just, you know, struck a chord with me. And just the lyrics were kind of cool. The overall tone was just very happy, and this was a huge surprise. And because of that surprise for me, I think I'm gonna rate this as an A. I know it's kind of crazy to think that this is rated above Higher Power right now, and I'll probably, after going through this whole list, kind of go through it again and maybe change things around, but right now I'm gonna put that at an A. It was just a beautiful song and just a feel-good song. I love those feel-good Coldplay songs like Strawberry Swing. You know, like it just reminds me of that kind of feel, and it was just a really good tune. So definitely gets an A. All right, the next one, which is, what is this? This is Alien Choir. I always get confused with the planets and everything. So this is kind of a test for me. Anyway, Alien Choir. was just another transition track. Not much to it. It is exactly what you expect from the title, just an alien choir singing, and it was cool, but honestly not much with it. So I'm gonna give it a C. The one thing I did like about this was the fact that it has this chord, and it uses, for all you music fans out there, music theory fans, it uses this minor or lowered seventh in that chord, which really reminds me of Coloratura, because they do that a few times, especially like in the beginning and the end of that song. So it kind of struck a chord with me there. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool how they do that, but still, it's not a song, like a full-length song, it's just a transition track, so I'm gonna give it a C. Cool. Moving on to the next one. The next one is Let Somebody Go. This track I was really excited for, and I thought that it was going to be like Everglow, but Everglow is one of my favorite songs of like all time, and I just was nervous that this was just going to be a repeat of it, trying to be the same thing, trying to get at the same level, and I don't think it was. I think it was its own song, and if anything, it really reminded me of Up in Flames, which was kind of interesting because it had that that snare, like that kind of soft muted snare on the offbeat, or like on 2 and 4, and that kind of, it was a cool callback to Milo Zoloto, right? So I did like this song a lot, and now I'm trying to think of where I'm gonna put this. And the duet, you know, that was cool hearing Selena Gomez. She does a great job in that song too. So I think I'm gonna give this a B. I think it's just around the same level as Higher Power, like the same feeling that I felt with Higher Power. I think if we're gonna get nitpicky here, I think Higher Power is just a little bit above Let Somebody Go, but I was really impressed with this song. I think I heard a lot about it, heard a lot of clips before going into the album, so I wasn't really like surprised with anything. Near the end, kind of like the bridge section is probably my favorite part. But yeah, I think it's around the same level of Higher Power, so. All right, moving on to the next one, Human Heart. Ooh, I don't know where to put this one. Okay, Human Heart, we heard for the first time at Glastonbury, and that was just such a cool experience because you know, Coldplay had been doing so many things like with Alien Radio FM and had so many surprises. We're thinking, are they going to release another single at this show? And they did. And I just remember the feeling of listening to that and just hearing that song for the first time. It was just a cool experience. Now, just about the song itself, it's very beautiful, moves like a vocoder with the choir just singing all in unison, and kind of reminds me of a Bach chorale. I'm a huge Bach fan, so I have to relate it to that. But I really did like that song. The only thing that was weird for me is the lyrics. How it seems kind of weird that they kind of use stereotypes for boys and girls. Like, I don't know, that was always weird to me when I heard this. Regardless, I still love this song, and I'm gonna give it an A. I think the song is just, in its beauty, it's a huge highlight on this album, and definitely one that I think stands out. So yeah, that's a great piece, and just the memory of hearing it for the first time is just really cool. All right, moving on to the next one. Oh boy, we got People of the Pride. People of the Pride, I remember, it was funny because this was on the same day as the release of My Universe, that this song was performed by Coldplay at the Apollo Theater, and so many clips of it were shared around on Twitter, and I just remember how it almost kind of stole the show that night. You know, people heard this song probably a few hours before My Universe was released, and it was just, everyone was talking about it, and kind of it was just a really cool experience. But also just seeing the clips of Coldplay perform it live, Chris was just so into the song, and hearing the song for the first time on the album, you know, man, the only thing that we heard so far had been these kind of clips from someone's phone. So hearing this produced for the first time gave me so much excitement, and I absolutely love the song, absolutely love the style that they had with the song and the direction that they went with it. And I've been saying this so much that I really want more of this style, this heavy rock swing with these aggressive lyrics. I think this is Coldplay, the next level of Coldplay. I think this is what we should get more of. And if you're listening, Coldplay or Phil Harvey, whoever, please have more songs like this. And for that reason, we're gonna have our first S tier, People of Pride. It's just such a great song, and I think most people can agree that this song is one of the highlights of this album. Man, I've talked that up enough. Hopefully you agree. If you don't, comment below, let me know about all these songs, how you feel about them. So, moving on to the next one, The Planet Florist, related to the song Biutyful. Biutyful is just that. It is a beautiful song. Now, it is very hard to spell, but it is a great tune. It starts off with these, oh man, it was such a surprise hearing it, with these high vocals. And that kind of threw me off a little bit, but I'm like, you know, I'm in it for the ride. I'm gonna experience this. Then the actual, you know, beat started, and we still heard that high vocal, and I was like, okay, yeah, I guess this is the whole song. Is just gonna be the high vocal. And then Chris starts to sing in normal voice, and that's when the song really took off. And I really did like this song. Now, as far as where I would rate it, I think it's gonna be a B. I think it falls in line with like Higher Power, Let Somebody Go. I think it's around that range. It doesn't, you know, go above and beyond. It is a little bizarre with that high voice, but I kind of like it. I think overall with this song, it gives me another good feel similar to Humankind, but it doesn't, like I said, go above and beyond. I think it kind of reminds me of a song like Amazing Day, how it's just a feel-good song, and it's, you know, when it's on the album, when you're listening to the full way through, you really groove with it. So I did like this song. I think a few people were annoyed by the high voice, but I wasn't at all. So moving on to the next, MOTS 2, Music of the Spheres 2. So this was, oh yes, I forgot for a moment what this song was. Like, wait, what does the song sound like? Okay, so this was the song with like the cheering and like the alien voices and some kind of countdown, I think that's what it is. I still haven't figured out what that says. But the alien voice, when I listened to this for the very first time, it was like late at night, and it freaked me out a ton. And because it scared me so much, I'm honestly gonna put this in the D range. You know, it's just a transition track, so it kind of belongs in the same C range, but it scared me, and I don't think it was necessary to scare me like that. No, but it really wasn't that bad. It's kind of a cool hype intro for the next song, which is My Universe. But yeah, I was scared, and I have bad memories. I'm kind of triggered from that song. Alright, moving on to the next song, My Universe. Man, where to put this? My Universe was a great second single released. No, this was the third single released, actually. A collab with BTS, a really catchy chorus, a really cool style with that 80s vibe still going. And a very great message. If you haven't looked at the translation for My Universe of the Korean, or maybe you know Korean, it is just, the lyrics are so beautiful and just so deep and thoughtful. Like, it's very intentional and thought out. So I loved that. I loved this song, and the more I listen to it, the more I like it. So for that reason, I think I'm gonna put this in the A range. It just, you know, like comparing the singles, Higher Power and My Universe, I do think this does have a little step up. I think it is a little bit more catchy, gets stuck in my head more often. And I was just, yeah, overall impressed by it. You know, I thought it was a good song, and then the more I looked into it, the more I liked it. So good song. Not to mention BTS does a fantastic job in that song, so shout out to you guys. All right, next song is Infinity Sign. This song has so much going on with it. Okay, so first of all, I was like, oh, this is probably going to be a transition song, because it has the indication is an emoji, right? I'm like, okay, this is probably a transition like the other ones that we saw. But then I was like, okay, Human Heart has an emoji, so maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll think about it. Then I found out, oh, it actually is almost a 4-minute long song. So you know, maybe it's gonna be a really cool song. And then we heard that track where there's this beat to it. It's not just that like staticky sequencer sound. And I'm like, oh, maybe this will be a good song. And then I listened to it and I'm like, for the first time, and I'm like, oh, a minute into it, still no lyrics, still nothing, just the sequencer, some beats, some sounds, some olays. But I'm like, oh, shoot. It's not a real song. But then by the end of the song, I'm kind of grooving to it, kind of thinking about it, and it really put me in a good place. I was like, if I had a full album like this song, I'd be okay with that. Just something to study to, something to be productive to. So for that reason, I think I'd give it a B. It's very diverse. This whole album is so diverse, and this song is very unique to Coldplay, I think. So I like that direction. I don't know if they'll ever make a song like this again, but I did appreciate it for what it was. Kind of a nice groove, a nice jam, a nice thing to listen to when I'm working on stuff, working on edits for this video. So yeah, did like it. I actually don't know how other people think of this, so let me know what you think of Infinity Sign. I don't know, I liked it. Moving on. So very last song on the album, Coloratura, the second single that we got from this album. Now this song was a huge surprise to the Coldplay community, and I think after hearing Higher Power, how that was such a pop song, people weren't so enthusiastic about it because a lot of the Coldplay fans like that old style of Coldplay, even though we're, you know, kind of progressed into this new style. There's a lot of fans who like are straight up X and Y, parachutes, that kind of style. This song, Higher Power was very pop, was very new, right? But then we get to Coloratura, the second single released, and it brought together the Coldplay community in such a good way. It is such a musically interesting song. I did a whole video explaining how this song, all the techniques used, all the musical analysis of it, and if you actually want to look at it, there's a video right there. But this song surprised me in so many ways. Yes, it is 10 minutes and some odd seconds long, but every second of it is worth it. And for that, I am definitely ranking this in the S range. Honestly, if there was an S+, I would put this in the S+ range because of how fantastic that song is. Just impressed me thoroughly, and has some really interesting musical techniques with it. So I'm giving that a huge thumbs up. I think that is my favorite song on the album and just deserves all of the attention. I hope more people listen to that song. Okay. So now that I went through every single song on this album, let's kind of just review. Starting with the low end, we have, what is this one again? MOTS 2, the Alien one, Alien song that freaked me out. In the D range, we have in C, we have the other transition tracks, Music of the Spheres and Alien Choir. They weren't bad songs, but there just wasn't a lot to them. In the B range, we have Higher Power, Let Somebody Go, Biutyful, and Infinity Sign. Even though Infinity Sign was a transition track, I still thought it was better than the other ones. And just these all, I think, are great songs, and I think they'll continue to be some of my favorite songs, but there was nothing about them that really kind of was a step up. In the A range, these were the ones that kind of surprised me or had some unique quality. We have Humankind, Human Heart. Wait, that's kind of funny. Humankind and Human Heart. And then My Universe. Humankind just surprised me how good it was. It had this great feel. It reminded me of the Viva era, which I don't think they revisited in any of their songs as of recent in the last decade. And so that was kind of nice to hear. Human Heart surprised me with how beautiful it was and how unique it was, and just the overall tone of it, just such a beautiful song. And of course, My Universe surprised me with the lyrics, with how catchy it was, and the collab with BTS was just amazing. So those songs are great. And of course, the S tier, we have People of Pride and Coloratura, which I just went over. Just amazing songs. They went a step further and a step beyond, and just my favorites on the album, I think. As of right now. I'll probably be listening to this album more and come up with my different opinions as I go on. But that is my full ranking of this album, of how I thought each song kind of held up. And you know, let me know if you agree with it in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts were, what your favorite songs were, what your least favorite songs were. I'm really interested to know because, you know, I haven't really talked to too many people about this album. So I look forward to having some conversations in the chat with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Of course, you know, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. It helps me out a ton. It helps Coldplay out a ton because people see this video more. They're like, oh, what is this album? So I would appreciate that a ton. Of course, you can follow me on the socials, which are linked below, but I'll be giving more updates about future things with Coldplay as things go on. And of course, spend a ton of time on this album talking about it, giving my reviews of it, of each song, probably doing some covers and fun things like that. So, thank you again so very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.